My name is Ken Russell. I'm your District 2 Commissioner. I happen, just by coincidence, also to be the first Japanese-American elected official in Miami's history. The proclamation I'm giving this morning is with regard to another Japanese-American, Mr. Fred Korematsu, who was born back around 1919, I want to say, in California, which means even though his name is Korematsu, he's an American citizen. And Fred Korematsu went on about his life as an American citizen until World War II broke out. And the fear around the enemy at that time being Japan drove our president, although a very progressive president, Roosevelt, to issue Executive Order 9066. And by that order, over 100,000 Japanese Americans were sent to internment camps around the West Coast and the center of the United States. These were American citizens who, just because they looked like the enemy, were feared to be the enemy. Fred Korematsu said no, and he went on about his life as an American citizen. He did not report to the internment camps. He was found and he was arrested. His case went all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. And the Korematsu case still stands as good law today, that he was denied, that his arrest was upheld, that a Supreme Court decided, the Supreme Court decided, that the President of the United States, out of fear for the safety of the country, does have the ability to infringe on the civil liberties of Americans. This sounds a little bit familiar today, because even in the Miami Herald, as we read right now, immigrants have fear that someone can board a bus where you are, and just because of how you look or your ethnic background or where you may have come from, someone can ask for your papers and then take action. The idea that in a time of fear, we can use that for divisiveness to turn ourselves on our own country, perhaps. This should be impossible in today's day and age. It should not matter what we look like, where we come from, where our blood originates. We are all Americans and we all have rights, and Fred Korematsu stood up for that. Now, although that Supreme Court ruling did stand, the country later apologized. President Reagan gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and reparations were given to many of the Japanese Americans whose rights were infringed. Fred Korematsu is celebrated to this day, even though he passed already. He's celebrated to this day as a fighter for civil rights, for someone who stood up for the civil liberties of American citizens. His birthday is this coming week on January 30th. And like many states in the country and cities around the country, from now forward, and this is very rare in the city of Miami, we are issuing a proclamation that from here forward in perpetuity, January 30th, shall be Fred Korematsu Day in the city of Miami.